Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and this is...
Jack Stanley.
And it's the first time we're doing a thing like this together, and so I thought it would be fun to introduce a lot of things that my dad has done. It's really quite incredible. One of the things that's really interesting about your life is the fact that when you were very young, you were on the USS Wasp, and I thought it'd be interesting if you could just tell a little bit about it and some of the things you did and something about the ship and your career there.
Well, it was an Essex Class Carrier. I went on it in 1953. Went across the Arctic Circle, went into the Mediterranean Sea, went to the Suez Canal, stopped in the Philippines, and then we had a thing going on in Korea at the time, so I spent a little time in Korea.
Yeah. I think you mentioned the fact that there was no trees in Korea. There was nothing. It was just...
Oh no, it was nothing. It was the coldest place I ever was in my life. 30 below is the norm. And yes, we burned anything we could find to keep warm. It wasn't all hard work. I mean, it was a lot of fun times. We had, once I went back aboard ship, we went to Hong Kong, to Japan quite often, and then on the way back after the ceasefire and stuff, and our cruise was over, we went back through Hawaii to San Diego, and from San Diego I flew back to New York, which then I completely went around the world, which is that and the fact that I've been in 49 of the 50 states.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I've been in everything but every state but North Dakota, and they're going to have to do without me.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you said something about evacuating people from Vietnam.
Yes, in fact, I think I showed you a picture last night.
Yeah.
We picked up 1955. We went to Hanoi and picked up the refugees when they split the country after the French were beaten in Dien Phu in 1955. They split the country. Mm-hmm. And we picked up the people that wanted to live in the South and brought them aboard and let them sleep on the hangar and flight deck and took them to South Vietnam. I'm not sure exactly where. We were offshore and loaded them at LCMs, and that was the last we saw of them.
Did you louse them?
Oh yeah, well yeah, when they were coming on,
Yeah.
they were. Before we let them on, we stood on the side and poured these bags of some kind of white delousing powder. It was like snow. Yeah, every one of them, and they had those funny hats on, and it was. Yeah, I mean, I was a 20-year-old kid. I wasn't paying much attention to it. I didn't think.
It's interesting.
That much.
Yeah, that we were involved over there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was an incident in the Gulf of Tonkin that we had assigned sheets when we came back before we were allowed to go ashore in San Diego. That what we saw we didn't see, and if we told anybody we saw it, we were going to be in big trouble. So yeah, that was again. As a 20-year-old kid, you just blow that stuff off. You sign a paper, you walk on. I wasn't going to tell anybody anyway, because a lot more things exciting. Mm-hmm. Just seeing jets take off every day on a flight deck of an aircraft carrier and watching them land is an experience that if you haven't seen it, it's something to see. And there was 3,500 guys on that ship, so I mean, tons of them I didn't know.
It's like a city.
It is.
Yeah.
They had ice cream parlor. They actually did. They had. They didn't always have ice cream, but they had an ice cream parlor. And but you had, you could go down there and buy a candy bar and stuff, and I mean, it functioned. You had a barber shop. You had, you name it, they had it. Plus the sleeping arrangements. I was lucky. I had a compartment of my own with one other guy, but most of the guys, some of them slept 6 high.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You were in the tower, right? Were you?
Yeah, I was in what they call the island.
The island?
Yeah, island structure, yeah.
And
spent almost 3 years on it. Then I went back again, went to the Philippines, went to Australia, went to Guam, Formosa. Like I said, I was Hong Kong quite a bit. Even got myself a cashmere jacket and a nice overcoat. Everything was tailor-made, Chinese. You could buy cashmere for a song. You know? Yeah.
What made you go into the Navy? Did you want to go into the Navy? Was that
Well, it's
that was
kind of
your
a long
plan?
story. No, it wasn't a plan, Tiff. It was a backup plan. I was going to be drafted because I kind of screwed up my college career, and I didn't want to come home and have to listen to I was the first one in my family to go to college, and especially since a lot of it was being paid for, and I blew it. I won't go into that detail but in any case, I came home from school, and I told them that I was going back to school, that I was basically, you might say, kicked out. They let me finish the year, and then. So I'm joining the Navy, all right? So I enlisted because I didn't want to go in the Army. And the funny part is that I thought that I knew if I went in the Army, I was going to Korea directly. And I figured the Navy, I go aboard ship, and the next thing I know, a year later, I'm sitting in a place called Daegu, Korea, with a Marine squadron. So. It was, I thought of the guy, there was a recruiter in Patterson. He was a Marine recruiter, and when I went to enlist, the Navy guy wasn't there. The office was closed, and he wouldn't be back like for half an hour. And this Marine sergeant kept coming out and wanted me to join the Marine Corps, and I told him, look, I'm enlisted, but I'm not nuts. I said, I'll go in the Navy. And I thought of him. When I was with, there was a Marine sergeant that ran the squadron maintenance thing, and the first thing he said to us when we arrived was, "Just what I need, a bunch of swabbies." I'll never forget that, and he rode us pretty hard. But and we got the insults all the time. But when we left, he said we did a fantastic job. I was only there 6 weeks, and but the first thing when I saw him start yelling at us, I thought of that Marine sergeant in Patterson. I said, he'd be laughing like hell. Yeah, if he yelled after me, being a little smart mouth with him. But here I am, and with the Marine Corps sitting in his hellhole. So yeah, it was quite a. It's a surreal experience because it almost seems like a dream, like it really didn't happen. It's been so long. I mean, God, it's 53, it'll be 63 years. It's coming July.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, you showed me that map you did where you just marked every place you went.
Yeah.
In the world. We went around the world, and that was number 18, right?
Yeah, it was an Essex Class Carrier. The first one, Essex, was a 9. In fact, the ship that's in New York right now, the Intrepid 11. Exact same ship, just a different number. They were all built the same. The Yorktown is in South Carolina, in Charleston. There, actually, Mount Pleasant, and that's also an Essex Class Carrier. But the Wasp, they made razor blades out of it, and with like most of those old ships.
How was it like working with all the people on the ship? Was there like certain codes you had to follow, or it was?
Well, yeah. The very first time I went on there, I had to go to personnel, and somebody got me there because the ship is. You have no idea how big it is, and you look at it and you're like, my God, this is huge. And actually, compared to the ones today, it's not. It's probably 100 feet shorter. But anyway, I was in personnel, and they told me where I had to report, and I had my sea bag with me and everything, and I'm looking around. Next thing you know, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Where do you think you're going, sailor?" I was in the officer's wardroom. I walked all the way up, and I think the rule was you went forward and up on the starboard side of the ship, and you went aft, which is towards the rear of the ship, and down on the port side. That was the way you travel. So, because the ladders were narrow, and you didn't want people banging into, passing each other on the thing. So they finally told me, I couldn't find a hangar deck. I mean, I was walking all over the place. They finally, that one of the officers took me out of the wardroom and pointed me to a ladder. They're not stairs on a ship, they're a ladder. And pointed to the ladder, he said, go up this one and go up the next one, and you'll be on the hangar deck, and then just go aft, and that's where where you're being bumped, and that's where I was for a side. So they have what they call shakedown cruises to get the people in shape. I mean, they do all kinds of drills, fire drills. At that time it was everybody wore a dosimeter, which was for radiation, because it was a big thing then. Was it going to be an atomic attack and so on? So you did all kinds of stuff like that. And so little by little, you had each division did something different. I mean, you had we went from cooks. You had people that did cleaning. You had the engine room people. You had aircraft maintenance. You had metalsmiths, engine people, electricians.
You had to support the whole city.
Yeah, it's everybody had we used to call the deck apes. It was the flight deck and the hangar deck crew. They pushed the plane pushers. They pushed the planes all around, and and did all the plane handling, got them into where they had to be for launching the planes and everything else. But no, there was nobody there that was excess. I mean, everybody had a job to do. I mean, it's
What did you do exactly?
Oh, I was an aircraft mechanic, but that's a long story. I went. I happen to have a pretty high IQ, and so when I took my test, and when I went in the boot camp, I got such a high score they thought I cheated. So they made me take the test again because nobody had ever. The highest score you got, I think, was 77, and I think I got a 73, and they were like, you couldn't do that. So they tested me again, and I did it again. And I got that thrown up in my face all the time. And every time I got in trouble, which was quite frequently in boot camp, and they would say that you're the smartest guy in the company, and you're in the most trouble. And so anyway, when I went to school in NAS Jacksonville, you go to an airman prep school, and they have different rates, storekeeper stuff, and I had high marks in math, clerical, and general intelligence, and the only one where I was low was in mechanical. And in the Navy's infinite wisdom, when the time came, they sent me to aircraft maintenance school. All right, and I said, "How could you do this?" I said, "You see my scores," and they said, "We figure that they had a formula. They would add the general intelligence and whatever field they would add it together and had to come to a certain number." So my number was, because I had a high GCC, they just said, "We figure you're smart enough, you'll figure out." So I was terrible with my hands. The theory part of it, I was really good. I mean, I could get into a cockpit and run it up. I could tell you what was wrong with the plane, no problem, anything else. But when it came to doing it with my hands, they used to do the safety wire. And the safety wire, most guys do it really. I was like playing with razor blades. If I'd be done, my hands would be bleeding. I mean, I was. So even though I was in Korea, I did work on engines. I knew what I was doing. It's just it didn't come to me naturally. I did it because I knew what had to be done, but it wasn't my field, and I never touched an engine since then. But. That's how I got to be. But then somebody found out I could type, and its chief had this tech library. He wanted me to work there, and apparently, I was typing all this stuff for him, and he was bragging about me to the division officer, and the division officer said, "If he's that good, I'm going to take him." So I ended up in what they call the air office, and I still did maintenance work, but I took care of all the aircraft logs, all the stuff that maintenance was going on. I did all the work, and that's where I put the map up. I had a big wall there, and I put the map up on a wall, and every night at 10 o'clock I'd call the quartermaster and ask him for a fix on where we were exactly at that point. So every night at 10 o'clock, I would put a dot on the map and then draw a line to the next night at 10 o'clock, and I wrote the date in. And so I had the thing completely where it shows how I completely went through around the world. So,
That's
of course, the
pretty neat.
map is now in dire straits, but I still have it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, figure I took that off the ship when I left the ship in 1956. I took that off the wall and brought it with me, stuck it in the sea bag, and I still have the damn thing. So
That's
don't ask me why. But,
That's good. That's neat. Well, thank you.
you're welcome. And, yeah,
Yeah,
we're doing a little catching up here, him and I.
yeah,
But,
yeah, so
yeah.
it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
We're going to do a couple of these, so
yeah.
thanks.
Hopefully. You're welcome. Yeah, make sure at my funeral you